All right, good morning and thank you for sticking with K24 this morning. We would like to welcome you to the broadcast. If you just tuned in, do keep in mind this entire week we have changed our programming on mornings and of course for pretty much of the day due to the Cabinet Secretary nominee vetting. And so from 9 a.m. we will be bringing you live pictures from Bunge. Please stand by for that. That being said, we'd like to also just welcome you to our social hour as we talk about societal issues. As always, we are looking out for you through our social media platforms at K24 TV across the board. We're talking about Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. The hashtag is K24 this morning and our WhatsApp number at the bottom of your screen. My name is Shiko Kaitani, and this time around we are talking about promoting safe spaces for women. Women indeed for years, for decades have been subjected to consistent rights abuses while shouldering an overwhelming amount of responsibilities. But in recent years, this is slowly changing with the advancement of gains in and promotion of women's and girls' empowerment initiatives. So now the challenges that most women face in Kenya includes gender inequality, discrimination, and so much more that is giving rise to now vocal women who are ready to stand up and of course empower other women and gives a voice to the voiceless. Very shortly, we are going to be meeting Mennaz Sarwa, who is the founder of Anisa. It is an all-female cab company dedicated to women, either drivers or passengers, empowering them with opportunities to work and travel in a safe environment. She will be joining us shortly, but for now, let's welcome Patricia Jaconia, who is the programs manager under policy and partnerships at LVCT, to share more on the importance of women-to-women empowerment. And Patricia, good to see you again.
Thank you, Shiko.
Karibu sana. I hope all is well at LVCT.
Yes, yes. No complaints.
No complaints.
We're doing well.
Okay. All right. We always have a great time in studio with teams, different individuals, obviously from different dockets from LVCT. And so today, Patricia, just talking about safe spaces, and this is really at the core of what you do, if you ask me, at LVCT. Just being able to be at the center of communities, letting people know there's help, whether you're talking about health and wellness, whether you're talking about domestic abuse, rehabilitation, there's so much more under the scope of LVCT. So when we talk about a safe space, what does that actually mean?
Thank you very much, Shiko. And the word safe space is a word that has been emerging over the years. And it is largely people beginning to claim spaces, demanding for spaces that do not really discriminate them or put them down or criticize them negatively, but people are looking for spaces where they feel supported emotionally, they feel supported physically, they feel accepted, they feel they can talk freely, express themselves without fear, without feeling judged, and without any fear of harm. So these spaces can either be like physical spaces where people know I can actually walk in there and I will feel safe. Some spaces, especially with the season of COVID, has really taught us that we can also build virtual safe spaces where people come in and they know there's confidentiality, they can express themselves. And the other safe spaces where groups that feel, or individuals that feel they have commonalities, that they could actually just come together in whatever space they are in and be who they are.
Right.
Yes.
And so, you know, even just based on my intro, we had talked about how women have been dumbed down for so many years. And what do you really feel has been the root cause of this and the fear for us as women to speak out?
I want to say this to, first of all, every woman that is out there. We are powerful. And the thing about being powerful is that sometimes people fear what you can become or what you can do with power. So what we have seen in society over the years is men, you know, being encouraged, or rather the environment creating conditions where men can use power over So it's, I am powerful, so you have to listen, you have to do this, you have to respect me.
Yeah.
And that has led to a lot of violations, denial of basic rights. You know, like education, you're told you've got to stay home, allow your brothers to go to school, you stay home, you cook, you take care of other children, you become a parent too early.
Yeah.
And you had basic dreams. The dream for every woman was you're born,
Yeah.
you're married, take care of kids, cook for a man,
Yeah.
wash the house,
Yes.
wait for your death. You know, literally. Like that, it was that straight line.
Yeah, it sounds funny, but it's not funny because our mothers lived that reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a very, very straight line.
Yeah.
But really, when you look at life itself, it's not straight. There are many other, you know, corners that you have to navigate to be who you are, to be where you are. So these atrocities, unfortunately, have been encouraged. A lot of harmful, you know, cultural practices that put down the woman, that doesn't allow the woman, you know, to make certain decisions, to be at the decision-making table, to be an equal partner, to also bring in their ideas. And there's one thing that women have, men out there, you'll forgive me, but this is the fact, that we have intuition. We work with both sides of our brains. So there are very many things we can do at the same time. We can listen to an issue and right from the start we can tell this is a good path, this is not. And that alone in itself has made women, you know, to be put down and be told, no, you don't know anything. If you're a man, you engage a woman in decision making, we have the common, you know, terms that people use in society, umekaliwa, umekaliwa chapati.
Right.
Yes, and so the man always feels they have to have the final say. But we are seeing a lot of shifts right now.
Okay.
Yes.
And you'll forgive me, Patricia, for mentioning this, but I do know, you know, on a personal level, you are a counselor, and you do a lot of pastoral work as well, and work as well with couples.
Yes.
And so even just under that bracket of subject, you know, submission, let me use the word submission, how is that misused? Because it simply means what you're saying is these women are not submissive. The ones you've just described here, who are decision makers.
Yes.
Wanakalia wanaume.
Yes.
So by the way, from a biblical perspective, do you think, you know, we are taking it out of context when we talk about submission?
We are.
Okay.
We are.
Yeah.
We tend to interpret submission as slavery, as, yes, sir, you've said it, I'm doing it. We have discouraged reasoning. And that same, you know, the good book, the Bible says, come, let's reason together. You
It
know?
doesn't say together as men.
Together.
Like the male gender.
Not the male gender.
Okay,
come, all of you come, let us reason together. And so every time we take a word and you know, capitalize on that specific word and forget every other thing that leads us to that word, then we miss the point.
All right.
And when we look at even the order in which, you know, God does things, he created man, yes, but then he looks at man and he sees how miserable that guy is. And he says this guy needs a helper. And the word helper has been used only twice in the Bible. One in the context of, let me create a helper for the man. But number two, when Christ goes back, he also says, I will leave you a helper. When we look at the characteristics of helpers, the Holy Spirit being one, is strength.
Right.
You know, it's guidance, it's being there, it's supporting you in the decision that you're making.
Right.
And many times when I minister, whether to couples or, what I emphasize is capitalize on your strengths, understand your various roles and how all these roles complement each other, come together and make the world a better place. When we are all allowed to be who we are, to use the brains that God gave everybody and give us an equal platform to be, to achieve. And all of us will give individual accounts of who we are, of what we did with what we were given.
When we meet our maker.
When we meet our maker. And that has to be intentional.
One of the common narratives that you will hear also, Patricia, from men, you know, is that women do tend to get in their own way, meaning we are our own worst enemies. How have we failed to promote our needs or put ourselves at the forefront? Because before you start saying, Patricia, let me down, what is Shiko doing about it before Patricia gets into the picture? So even as women, how have we failed ourselves to promote the safe spaces, to empower ourselves?
Yeah, I think the one thing that happens with groups that are marginalized or discriminated is fighting for your own space.
Okay.
If we look at society, any group that we feel in one way or the other, society, maybe we have defined them as people who don't deserve, people who don't need to be in a certain place. When they get that little opportunity, people stand as individuals and they fight for the space. Now, that is what has been happening with women. It's me standing, it's me fighting for me. You know, you're coming from a family and the first thing you just want to do is, I want to break through, I want to stand. So we keep pushing that and forgetting that there is power in togetherness. There is power when Shiko is Shiko and Shiko recognizes that part is part, but together we can even make the space better. We can even be a platform that pushes each other up and celebrating each other. But the one thing I really am grateful for is that we have been able to open our eyes.
Right.
And see that I can't have everything. And that what I need in this life to be is in someone's hand. Somebody has something that I need today for my next level.
Right.
So the thing is, how do I reach out? How do I also create that space for somebody else?
Right.
You know, to be able to find a platform to step and spring up to where they're supposed to be.
So we always need that person.
Exactly.
To
we
be our
need each other.
stone.
Yes, and I think it's the realization that my continuity is based on who I mentor.
Right. Wow, that's a powerful line.
If I don't mentor anyone, I'm forgotten. I'll be long gone. But when I hold somebody else's hand, when I create a space where, you know, women can come in, individuals can walk in, they can learn a lesson, they can be who they need to be, then you're remembered for certain things. And those ideologies and principles that you pass then continue from generation to generation. Yeah.
Okay. We've started on a high note, if you ask me. I'm already loving the conversation. I don't know about you right at home. But if you just tuned in, we're talking about promoting safe spaces for women and women empowerment in general, if you think about it. We're very excited to obviously have Patricia Jaconia, a.k.a. Pat, who is from LVCT as a programs manager under policy and partnerships. We'll be talking about strategies also on how to create safe spaces. Hopefully, in just a moment, we'll be meeting the director of Anisa Taxi, Menaz Sarwa. She should be joining us shortly. But like I promised earlier on, we are going to be sharing with you the question of the day. And we're asking you, have we failed as a society to create safe spaces for women who are facing vulnerability at their homes or even workplaces? Have we failed as a society to create safe spaces for women who are facing vulnerability at their homes or even workplaces? Okay, so the social media handles are the same at K24 TV. And of course, you can see obviously our WhatsApp number at the bottom of your screen. We will be looking out for you, sampling your text messages. Also, the hashtag on Twitter is K24 this morning. If you'd like to also get in touch with me directly, you can also see my handle there at Shiko Kaitani. We also have decided to put up our numbers on your screen should you just wish to call in and obviously contribute to our ongoing discussions right here on K24. All right, so Patricia, just starting off with you on this particular question of the day, I want to get your take. As society, how have we failed women, not just women to women, but these structures that we've put in place that are refusing women to thrive? What are they, and how can I as a woman recognize that I'm the vulnerable that Patricia is actually talking about right now?
We have failed. We have failed to create that society that is safe for women. And it is something that has been passed, you know, from one generation to another. And quickly just, you know, reflecting on when I grew up, you would walk the streets and, you know, as a girl, you hear, you know, men, you know, calling you. And I find that, I find it very demeaning. But you know, it was normalized. And you know, you were told, you know, when they do that, it means you're beautiful.
Accept
and then,
it.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
when somebody talks about a girl, they say a chick.
You're like, what is that?
Like, and it's this, things that we think they are innocent.
Yeah.
But one thing I know, language is not innocent.
Words are powerful.
Words are very powerful. So those same things that we do then begins to create certain ideas. And you continue in life knowing you're a property, you're supposed to be owned by someone. And so we put in conditions that make women feel like they have to be owned by someone. And if they are not, there's too much pressure on when will you be owned by someone. So that in itself is very defeating for women.
Yeah.
And so you enter the workplace and, men who have same qualifications like you are probably higher. They are the bosses, they are the managers. And you have to be somewhere down here and remain humble, please, you're a woman. And this thing, you always lie low, you always give out these opportunities, you always feel like you don't deserve. And even when you're promoted, you still feel like you owe it to somebody else.
Right.
You owe it to another man, like, thank you very much, you allowed me to be here. And even in workplaces, again, there's workplaces and homes where we are there's a lot of sexual harassment, certain comments that are made towards women. And I'm trying to think about, like what my dear sister here is doing as a woman driver. The first thing, and she will talk to us about it, is you always think about your safety. If I carry someone, am I safe? If I drive to a place at certain time in the night, am I safe?
Right.
So the community in general has created this environment that's not very safe for women to thrive in, either physical safety, emotional safety. We are also being made to feel like we talk too much, yet that is our mental health, kind of thing. We have to talk. If we don't talk, my friend,
you're going to implode.
Exactly.
Patricia, give me a second, and well said. Give me a second to now introduce Amenaz Sarwa. We had said earlier on she will be joining us on the show. A female driver cab company known as Anisa is trending, making rounds on social media. And that's because it's not just about employing women. It's also about giving opportunities, obviously, to women to empower each other. Okay, so whether or not you're the passenger, whether you're the driver, the common goal here is to make women feel safe, to give women the opportunity to also thrive and even build themselves career-wise. So Menaz, karibu sana to the program. Yes, I think I'm so surprised at you, Patricia, by the fact that, we're talking about an all-female company. How did that come about? Especially, I'm trying to imagine religious-wise, community-wise, the kind of barriers that you are facing. How did you manage to crack through and found Anisa?
Just following up on what Patricia was
Yes.
what she was saying.
Yeah.
Women, I think generally changing mentalities is very difficult. I think as women, creating safe spaces is very important for us. Getting into a cab, getting into any public space where we don't feel vulnerable, where we don't feel that we need to watch what we're doing, watch what we're saying. It's a very male-dominated business, and I think women, we have our own issues that we need to deal with on a daily basis. We have kids, we have to run errands. The last thing you want to think about is your safety. You don't want to get into a car and check if the child lock is on. You don't want to look for an escape route. But that's what women go through on a daily basis. Just a simple thing, like one of our customers said, she sat in a cab and she was eating a banana. And the driver just asked, is it good? So she didn't know how to answer that. It was like, should I have not eaten the banana in his car? So those simple things, just like you don't want to feel vulnerable in the public transport. So I think creating safe spaces was very important. And like you said, for our drivers, it's a very male-dominated business. So the drivers' needs are not thought about. They're women, they're mothers, they have other things going on as well. So how do we make sure, while being a woman, while being a mother, they're still catered for within this business? So I think Anisa was very important for us to create those safe spaces for ourselves, our daughters, and also for the drivers. I think safe spaces are one of the things that we need to normalize, and not see it as a threat. A lot of people saw it as a threat when Anissa, not all men are bad, not all. Yes, we are not saying all men are bad. That's not the issue here. The issue here, women do not feel safe in the public transport. And how now do we make them feel safe? So that was the whole concept behind Anissa.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that and the intro as to what the company is all about. We want to take a short commercial break, and then when we get back, we'll talk more to Patricia as well as Mehnaz rather, about safe spaces for women. And you know, when we talk about female empowerment, what say you? Let's remind you the question of the day, dear viewer, and then when we get back, we'll sample your text messages as far as today's discussion is concerned. We're asking, have we failed as society to create safe spaces for women who are facing vulnerability, either at their home or even workplaces? Think about it, feel that question, and then get talking. We'll be back with more on K24.